Hello guys, my name is Ashley and welcome to my YouTube channel, Zeal Street Art. Today I'm extremely passionate about the video I have planned today, and it's all about why you are obsessed. And I'm sure that comes up with some questions for you, like what are you gonna be obsessed about? Like, what does that mean? And I have seen such a range on like the obsessions that people have, and it's pretty much can be in any area of life. I've seen it a lot with people being obsessed with finding their future husband, future wife, future boyfriend, you know, whatever comes with that. I've seen it in people being obsessed with money and their career to the point where you can tell something's off there. I've seen people be obsessed with politics. I've seen people be obsessed with religion, and the list goes on. Cleaning, eating, you could go on and on about it. And so when I saw this in my own life and the people I love, I had some questions that came up. And one of them is like, why are people so obsessed with this? And it clearly feels disordered and unhealthy. And in my own life, it's definitely come up, especially in terms of career, like spirituality and religion, and like meeting my future husband as well. And so now that I'm in a more balanced place, I feel like I wish I could have sat my younger self down and looked at her and said, girl, something's off here. Let's look at why. And a part of me was really scared to do that because it was so much of where I got my joy from, and it was almost like a fantasy world I could really dive in, and it felt safe and it was fun to think about, and it was like that's how I had gotten my progress in the past. So it was really challenging to like look at that and want to let that go. And there was a girl that is at my work where she is going through a breakup, and if you're watching this, I was like, maybe there's something we gotta let go of there. And she was like, I'm not sure if I want to, because she's really struggling with this breakup. And I was like, well, that's part of it. You have to want to. And when you want to, it is amazing, the transformation that you can have in your life. It is incredible. And so you don't have to want to, but when you're ready, I just want to give you the tools to let go of that obsession, have a healthy, balanced life that will allow you to actually bring in and enjoy what you're so obsessed with. Let's go back to that future husband example. My friends that have husbands and boyfriends and serious relationships, they talk about the person they're with and their relationship probably at least 10 times less than a lot of the women I know that are really looking for a serious relationship and they don't have one. And it became really clear for me through other examples as well that they don't believe that they can have it. The women that talk about it so much, that are so obsessed where it's their main focus, they don't actually believe that they could have it, because once you get that thing, you feel settled. You don't have to spend so much time thinking about it. It should feel safe and enjoyable, but that's one aspect of your life. That is one aspect of your life. There are so many other aspects of life to focus on and to enjoy. And of course, when you have a person to share your life with, it's gonna feel amazing and you're gonna feel comfortable and safe. And there is something so repellent about that being your only focus to the person you're trying to attract. And I think that applies to so many other areas of life. Let's use the religion example. So where I work, I have a beautiful opportunity to see people talk about their religious beliefs almost all day long. Like, that's a really big focus. And I used to be really involved in like general spirituality in terms of like shamans and natural kind of ways of healing and energy stuff. I consider myself to be Christian now, but on both ends of those spectrums, there are some real wackadoos, okay? There are some real people that make you really repelled to whatever they believe, purely based on the way they go about it. So the people that I believe aren't very settled in their views really are really resistant and really want you to believe. And if you don't believe, they lost. They lost. Their truth is somehow being impacted. And there are people that are naturally more argumentative or strong in the way they present things. And it's not about that. It's the obsession, it's the resistance, and it's the little tiny room for finding common ground. When people are really settled in their views, they can find common ground and they can go about maybe putting their own views into place or explaining their views to another person in a way that I think is like so much more effective than someone who believes what they believe and you better believe it or else, the world's gonna explode. And I really empathize with a lot of those people because I think that most of them have really good intentions and they're really passionate about what they believe. And I've seen it just really turn people off over and over again that might have believed them if they had, or they might have been able to reach if they had just taken a different approach. And I don't think they could have taken a different approach because of the relationship they had with that idea, which I don't think they were firm enough in what they believed to share that in a way where they would make some movement with the other person. Something for me that I have seen over and over again is the kind of idea of all or nothing come up for me, and that's a trauma response. That's your brain being like, this is all good, this is all bad. There's no middle ground. I'm either going to be the best at this or I'm going to be the worst at this, when those are like the least likely outcomes, but you're kind of only giving space for those to happen. So most likely you're gonna make some progress and you're gonna have some failure, but it's gonna be somewhere in the middle. And I think that's true for all of these topics. I think, there's your future husband is probably out there, and you obsessing and being focused on that is kind of gonna repel that away. And so having a healthy life and being open is a lot more in that gray area and is a lot more likely. I believe with my spiritual journey that God is guiding my spiritual journey. And so why have I been so obsessed with figuring out all the information and cracking all the codes and being better and smarter than everyone else? Like, again, those are really big extremes. And I want to take steps towards being more secure in my beliefs, but also I want to allow God to guide my spiritual beliefs. And obviously politics right now is really a heated kind of discussion, but I think the reality too, it's putting us on two ends of a spectrum, and the reality is somewhere more in between. And until we can see that more in between area, I think we're not going to be able to create any progress within our own lives. And I think it creates so much division and resistance. And some of the biggest lies are that our problems and our way of viewing is so special that no one else will ever relate. And the biggest epidemic going on is loneliness and a lack of community. And so if you believe that no one will understand you and you desperately need connection, there is a really big gap there. And the reality is a lot of our problems most people have, and we're not that special, and we're not going to sound that crazy because being a human is challenging, and a lot of us understand each other. There's obviously people that aren't going to understand you, but there's more that we have in common than we don't have in common. And you need people, but also you don't need people to be your source of everything. Your life isn't going to completely change when you have a partner. Your friends aren't going to flip your life around. You have to do that yourself. And so again, it's that more middle ground, and that's what I think comes with obsession. And remember, black and white thinking, according to my therapist, I'm not a therapist, but according to my therapist, is a trauma response. And so give yourself compassion, but just incorporate some more of that gray color. I didn't even realize I'm wearing that today. But also sit with that. Why are you obsessed? Like for me and my career, I kind of had to look at it and be like, do I actually believe that I have the skills and the tools and the time to get to where I want to go? And I kind of realized I didn't actually believe that. And so then I had to work through that and I had to look at that. And until you do that, you're just gonna be going through cycles. And I've also noticed that I really work through things by talking to my loved people. But when I feel like no one's gonna get this, no one understands me, I'm alone on this, those are some of the biggest lies. And once I say aloud, like what I have been obsessing over or what I've been cycling through or getting so stuck up in, I realize, it's more simple than I thought. And you can obviously do this if you don't feel like you can trust people right now. You can obviously, work through some of this stuff by doing brain dumps, writing it all out, writing out what you're obsessed over and maybe why, like what belief is making you so focused on that. Because if you believed that it was going to happen, it would be one of the many aspects of your life rather than the main focus. And since I've healed my relationship with men, I feel like that's been a little longer than maybe my career and other things, but I realized that I am so much more attractive and I really get to choose how I want to be treated. I get to say, you're going to talk to a woman like that? That says a lot about you versus it being all about me and like, everything is a reflection of me. The way every man talks to me or treats me is who I am. Like, that just isn't reality. Something that comes up for me about this was this podcast I saw about the Diary of a CEO, and he talks about how, or he didn't talk about the guest he had on. I can link it down below. It was a really amazing podcast, but it was kind of about like the brain and how it works. And they were talking about the male loneliness epidemic. And one of the things they talked about was how when people are really horny, I don't know if I can say that, but when people are really, wanting to get some of intimacy, the thing their body is wanting is first dopamine. But you can get dopamine from eating cake. You can get dopamine from scrolling on Instagram. There's so many ways you can get dopamine. And that's not really why your body or why people get so invested in this and want to keep coming back to that source. It's what comes after, a release or whatever. And that's where you get serotonin. And serotonin is a happiness chemical. It's peace and contentment. It's feeling safe and like it. You need it for long-term planning. You need it for for relationships. You need it for every kind of aspect of life. And so when you don't have that, or when that's really low, people start looking for that in other people. So when I've seen this a lot, when men are like so desperate or like so like, oh my gosh, my wife, or when my friends have kind of been in that stage with men, like women with men, I noticed that, they might be lacking that peace and contentment. And it's become more and more obvious that it's not about me or about like the object of their desire. It's about like what they have going for them in their own life. And that's why I'm so passionate about this channel. And you really should check out my website. I'll have it linked down below. I have some journal prompts and some art ideas. And why I'm so passionate and why I named this channel Zeal Street Art is that art can really transform your life. And one of the ways is it can regulate your serotonin, your peace and contentment, and doing things that make your life more full, doing things that activate both sides of your brain, your logic and your creativity and your intuition. Having a full and complete life is really what allows you to get what you want and like have relationships and get to your goals, because you need that for long-term planning, which you need for anything. You need that for every aspect of life. And I just found that so enlightening and so fascinating. I feel like I didn't explain this very well, but when you have more serotonin, you are less, wanting that physical intimacy because you already got to that end result. And I think that's true with a lot of other obsession or a lot of other maybe maladaptive focuses in your life, is when you're not content and complete and peaceful on your own. That's why that's so obsessive, or that you're so focused on that thing. I think if you had more peace and contentment overall, that maybe obsession or imbalance would be solved. So that's what I think about that, and that's why I included that fact about how people who have more serotonin are less likely to be like overly focused on physical intimacy. And I think that's true with a lot of other kind of obsession, is a lack of contentment, a lack of peace. And the more you up that within yourself and in your life, I think that you're able to pursue what you want in a lot more effective way, while also being a lot healthier and going towards the other things we need as humans. I think that we're meant to be healthy, we're meant to be happy, and obsession is a distorted way of thinking, and it's a sign that something in us is off, something's wrong. And we have so many tools and opportunities to switch that, even by just kind of shifting the way you look at things. And there's a concept that the way you do one thing is how you do everything. And that's why I really like looking at, bigger picture things, like the way you view the world, like politics or spirituality, or love is so important to us. Like if you think about songs or movies, that's kind of the whole basis of most of them. And so when you change the way you view love and relationships too, I think that has the power to transform every area of your life. And that's why I really like emphasizing the underutilized and undervalued power of art for the sake of creating art, and the sake of it, like of doing pretty much everything in life, like slowing down, being intentional, being proactive, and seeing the bigger picture is so important. And I think we have such an opportunity to balance out and transform the way we live our lives and be a better example to the people we love, to our children if you have them, to the future children, to your partner that you want to have, by being balanced and by seeing the value in the whole beautiful picture of life rather than just one or two aspects of that. And so I really hope this helped you. Why are you obsessed? This might be why. You might be having some beliefs where you don't believe you're capable or worthy of that. And as someone who does modeling and acting and who is so obsessed with my physical body and like what I put in it and how I exercise and stuff, going above and beyond, doing way too much, I've noticed that balancing out and having a lot more trust in myself and my body to be in a healthy place and get to where I want to go without taking myself out of my equilibrium, I not only can get to where I want to go, but I feel 10 times more confident because my stress levels are down, my body is showing that. And I think we live in an amazing world where there's so much opportunity, and one of the biggest lies is you're stuck where you are and you will be forever. So don't believe that. Get out of this cycle, make little changes, take little steps in the direction you want to go, and see the gray. See how little progress can help you, how you don't have to be the best, and if you're not the best, you're not going to be the worst. That is not the way this world works, and I really hope that this helped you. Let me know what you think down below. I am open to hearing some other opinions on this, and I love you so much. Definitely let me know what you think. Subscribe and like this video. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.